What if we told you that Victor Wembanyama could be in the MVP conversation as early as next season? Sounds wild, right? But it's not as far-fetched as it seems. Sure, the Spurs would need to take a major leap as a team, but on the individual side of things, Wemby's rise might just be unstoppable. It's rare for players to reach MVP-level status in just their second season. Most stars take years to sniff that conversation, but Wembanyama is in most players. After putting together one of the most jaw-dropping rookie seasons in NBA history, Victor is already trending toward elite status. If his development continues at this pace, we could be witnessing the start of something historic, the official beginning of the Victor Wembanyama era. Here's why we think Wemby could be among the league's absolute best, much sooner than anyone expected. One of the biggest signs pointing toward a breakout year for Victor Wembanyama is the steady, undeniable growth he showed during his rookie season. To be clear, Victor wasn't bad out of the gate, but if you followed his journey from October through April, the transformation was obvious. He didn't just improve, he leveled up, especially in the second half of the season, and even more so in those final few weeks. Wemby looked like a completely different player. Let's look at the numbers. From opening night up to Christmas, he was putting up 18 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks a night. Solid stats, no doubt, but not quite at an all-star level, let alone all-NBA. He shot 43% from the field and just 28% from 3, respectable for a rookie, but far from efficient. In fact, he ranked among the league's least effective high-volume three-point shooters and had more turnovers than assists per game. Now, that's not a knock on Victor. It's completely normal for young players to have growing pains. But what separates him from the pack is how quickly he started turning those weaknesses into weapons. For most young players, fixing their flaws takes time, sometimes years. The lucky few might polish things up by the end of their second season, especially if they truly understand the game and commit to the grind. But Wemby, he's built different. By the time the season hit its halfway point, it felt like Victor had already fast-tracked through his rookie year and was playing like a seasoned sophomore. After Christmas, his numbers took a serious leap: 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocks per game, while shooting 48% from the field and 34% from 3. Those are legitimate all-star numbers, maybe even all-NBA, if we're being honest. What's even more impressive is that every major stat went up, and those glaring weaknesses we saw early in the season, they were already fading fast. Shooting 34% from deep might not sound elite, but for a 7'4" rookie, that's more than just solid, that's special. There are plenty of veteran centers in the league right now who'd take that in a heartbeat. Victor wasn't just improving, he was evolving at lightning speed. And here's the wild part: there are plenty of players in the league right now, much smaller than Wemby, who still can't shoot as well as he did from deep. If he manages to bump that three-point percentage to 35 or 36% in his second season, that's game-changing. Just for context, Kevin Durant, one of the players Wembanyama clearly draws inspiration from, shot about 35% from beyond the arc across his first 4 seasons in the NBA. Now, to be fair, Wemby still had some trouble taking care of the ball. He averaged over 3 turnovers per game after the All-Star break, but there was progress there. Too, his assist numbers climbed, and he even notched a triple-double with assists. For a player who's 7'4", that's almost unheard of. Sure, the turnovers still need to come down, and he's got to be a little more careful with his decision-making, but the growth, it's real. The bottom line is this: we didn't just see one version of Victor Wembanyama last season, we saw 2. And the second one, that guy looked like a future superstar. The way Wembanyama improved during his rookie season with barely any real break is nothing short of incredible. Most players take off seasons to refine their skills, but Wemby was evolving on the fly, night after night. Very few athletes in the league show that kind of rapid development in such a short time, and that naturally leads us to the big question: if he made that much progress during the season, what happens when he actually gets a full summer to train? More practice, more lifting, more film, more growth. If this is what he could do in year 1, imagine what year 2 might look like. Of course, no one's saying Wemby will magically average 5 extra points every year until he's dropping 50 a night. Growth doesn't work like that. It's not always linear. Some guys need years to level up, but Wemby, he's on a completely different timeline. And honestly, it's not unrealistic to believe that the kind of leap he made last year could happen again this coming season. So what should we expect? What exactly is going to be different? Well, the first and maybe most important change is simple. Wembanyama is going to be bigger. It's tough to put an exact number on how much muscle Victor Wembanyama has packed on since joining the NBA, but just take a look at the photos. Compare snapshots from early 2023 to his most recent ones, and the difference is obvious. Wemby is noticeably bigger now. And this has always been one of the biggest talking points around him even before he was drafted. The conversation was never just about his height. It was always, he's 7'4" sure, but is he strong enough to handle the league's most physical big men? Names like Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid came up a lot. How would this lanky, agile giant hold his own in the paint against guys built like tanks? Well, the answer, pretty well, actually. Wemby not only put up impressive numbers across the board, he also had some standout games against the NBA's toughest centers. But the strength concerns weren't totally off base either. Let's not forget, Joel Embiid dropped 73 in a game that Wemby was part of. And there were moments where stronger players clearly had the upper hand down low, so yes, he needed to bulk up a bit, but not too much. And Wemby knows that himself. He said it before, adding too much weight too fast would be a mistake. Why? Because his game isn't built like a traditional big. It mirrors more of a Kevin Durant-style skill set, long, fluid, and versatile. And like someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo, whose game is built around raw power and downhill force, Wembanyama likely won't need to become ultra-muscular to thrive long-term. In fact, trying to pack on too much weight too quickly would have been risky, not just for his game, but for his overall health and longevity. That's why his current progress is so promising. He's clearly in better shape now. He's added just enough muscle to hold his ground more effectively in the post and even back defenders down when needed. But more importantly, he hasn't sacrificed the key parts of his game: his agility, speed, and shooting fluidity. Finding that balance is incredibly difficult. Too much muscle could have slowed him down or altered his shooting mechanics. But so far, Wemby appears to be walking that fine line perfectly. No, physical dominance in the post will likely never be his greatest strength, and that's okay. What matters is that he's addressing his weaknesses and doing so quickly. The way he's managing his physical development, while still preserving his unique skill set, is a huge reason why so many believe his superstardom isn't just possible, it's practically inevitable. Yes, we expect Wemby to take a massive leap next season, but it's not just because of added strength or how well he performed as a rookie. If that were the only reason, projecting him as an MVP candidate might be a stretch. What truly sets him up for a breakthrough is what's happening this summer. Wembanyama is known for how seriously he takes his training and recovery. His commitment to his body and craft is already elite, and that won't change. But this summer offers something different, something bigger. The Olympics, competing for France, at home, as the team's centerpiece. That's the kind of experience that accelerates growth in ways the off-season simply can't replicate. But even beyond the stage itself, there's something else just as valuable: veteran presence. Wemby will be spending his summer around experienced NBA pros like Rudy Gobert, Nicholas Batum, and Evan Fournier, guys who've been in the league for a decade or more. That matters, because if you looked at the Spurs roster last season, one thing stood out: they didn't have that level of veteran leadership around him. This summer, he'll not only get guidance from those vets, but he'll also go head-to-head against the world's best players. The result, a more confident, more polished, and more seasoned Victor Wembanyama heading into year 2. And let's not forget, FIBA basketball isn't the same as the NBA. In fact, as Luka Doncic famously said, it might even be harder to score in FIBA games. That's exactly why this summer will be so valuable for Wembanyama. The different rules, the physicality, the pace, it'll push him out of his comfort zone. It will challenge him to find new ways to create offense, adapt on the fly, and expand his skill set in ways the NBA can't replicate. Take this example, on Team France. Wemby will be sharing the floor with Rudy Gobert, a traditional big who doesn't space the floor. That means the paint will be crowded, and driving lanes will be tight. It'll force Wemby to refine how he moves, passes, and scores in tighter spaces. Now sure, once he's back with the Spurs, he won't have that problem. He'll likely be the only true center on the floor, but training under tougher conditions than you'll face in the regular season. That's how you grow faster. So when you combine all of that, the intense summer workouts, the high-level international competition, the mentorship from seasoned NBA vets, and the fact that Wemby already has a full NBA season under his belt, let's just say, the rest of the league might be in serious trouble. Let's be real, what some people called early struggles for Victor Wembanyama last season were really just part of the natural adjustment to the NBA. No matter how talented you are, there's always a learning curve when you first hit the league. Even LeBron James, who was already a superstar in the making, only averaged 16 points per game on under 40% shooting during his first 20 games. For generational talents like LeBron and Wemby, that adjustment phase doesn't last long, but it does matter. And as we mentioned earlier, it clearly impacted Wemby's rookie season. It wasn't just personal, his team felt it too. The Spurs started off rough, winning just 4 games by Christmas. But as Victor got more comfortable with the speed, spacing, and physicality of the league, the team's performance picked up. San Antonio closed out the year by winning 9 of their final 19 games, a noticeable shift. And that learning curve is even steeper for international players. Wemby came from the French league, where the style of play, the rules, and the overall game structure are very different from the NBA. The adjustment is real and he handled it impressively. Think about it, Victor Wembanyama didn't just have to learn NBA basketball last season. He had to leave his home country, adapt to a new continent, adjust to a completely different lifestyle, and navigate everything from travel, schedules to media pressure, all while being the most hyped rookie since LeBron. That's a lot to handle for anyone, let alone a teenager.